Hey guys, welcome back to the miter station build part 2 here on Shop Dust. Glad you could join me. In this video, I'm going to be building these 6 drawers. I'm going to be using rabbeted half-blind dovetails for the fronts. I'm going to be using through dovetails for the back. I'm going to be installing this center divider and the drawer slides. So why don't you come and join me and check it out. Let's get building. So I'm going to start with cross-cutting and ripping this 3/8 inch piece of plywood and making cuts for the cabinet bracing. This will be my center divider in between the drawers. I wish I had done this when I was building the cabinet box, but in true Shop Dust fashion, I like to make things harder on myself, I guess. But at the time, I still hadn't decided yet if I wanted 3 drawers or 6. This is what I mean by making things hard on myself. Screwing this up would have been a lot easier if I would have done it in the first place. But with a little patience and help from pocket holes and screws, I managed it. For the drawers, I'm using 1x12 dimensional pine from the big box store. It took me some time, but I was able to search through the lumber rack and find some fairly straight, flat boards. I used the planer first to get the stock nice and flat, then moved to the joiner. I know this is backwards to how to square up a board, but I only have a 6-inch joiner. And with the boards being nice and flat to begin with, everything was good in the end. Now to cut the drawer fronts and sides. I sure am glad I took the time to build this table saw sled. These are rabbeted dovetail drawer fronts, so I measured a 1/2 inch from all 4 sides. I used a dado stack and a sacrificial fence to get my 1/2 inch rabbet. The reason I picked a 1/2 inch is the drawer slides I have are a 1/2 inch thick. So when the drawers are together, the 1/2 inch leaves room for the drawer slides on either side to fit between the drawers and the cabinet. it's finally time to cut some dovetails. I'll be using this Leigh D1600 dovetail jig for my rabbited half-blind dovetails, and my through dovetails I'll be using in the back of the drawers. This jig gives easy, accurate, repeatable cuts. It does take some time to set up, but once it is, it's like production work. I was able to cut all my dovetails on my fronts and sides, one after the other. If you're interested in this jig, I'll leave a link in the description below. This is just a dry fit of a drawer just to see how well those dovetails fit together. Was I ever happy with those results? Here I'm marking my boards for the drawer bottom dado. I'll be using 3/8 inch plywood for the drawer bottom and using a dado stack for the cut. And this is the 3/8 inch plywood for the drawer bottoms. I marked where the back of the drawer corners meet, then added 3/16 to the length of the drawer bottom so the drawer bottom fits in the dado all around the bottom of the drawer. Here's another dry fit just to make sure everything is right and tight. And I went ahead and sanded everything because it's easier to sand the inside of the drawer before you put it together. I sanded it from 80 grit all the way to 220. I used scrap blocks to set the bottom drawer height and some more blocks to set the slide height. It was a tight fit for me in the camera, so I took pictures instead of video. Now I used the gauge blocks from the bottom to set on the drawer sides to set the rest of the drawer slides. Then I use a 1/8 inch spacer on the drawer underneath and slowly slide out the drawer to gain access to the screw hole on the drawer slide. I screw in a screw on each side, pull the drawer out to drive in the second screw, then remove the drawer and drive the last screw. So the top drawer was about a 1/4 inch too long due to the cabinet wall mount. So I cut out a shoulder at the back of the drawer at the table saw so it would slide all the way back. Here's a simple jig to drill for drawer pulls. Find the center of the board and make a mark. Measure your drawer front to find where you want your drawer pull and mark it on the jig. Then measure the center of the female holes on the pull and drill your holes for the screws. Then add a board on the bottom to act as a fence. Line up the center on the drawer and the jig and voila, perfectly aligned drawer pulls. Well, there you have it, guys. Miter Saw Station build part 2. 6 drawers with rabbeted half-blind dovetails and through dovetails. Why dovetails in shop furniture? Well, the short answer is because I wanted to. I'm guessing I'm what you would call a hybrid woodworker. I like to use old joinery as well as new joinery. I like to use hand tools at points, but I also like to use power tools as well. Depends on what the project calls for at the time and what I can do to make it easier or challenge myself. The drawer slides that I used in this project are the ones you get from your local big box store. They're full extension drawer slides with ball bearings. They come out all the way. I like to be able to reach to the back of the drawer without having to get down on my hands and knees and have to look back there, you know. The Leigh D1600 dovetail jig, I will leave a link in the description below for that. I picked that up from a friend of mine who offered to sell it to me. I got it for a real good, reasonable price, and I couldn't pass it up. But it's a real good dovetail jig so far. I haven't used it a whole lot, but I have used it, and every time I've used it, I come out with really good dovetails. They're quick, easy, repeatable, until you have to change the width of your drawer sides or whatever, and then you have to make the adjustments on the fingers with that. But other than that, it's a great dovetail jig to use. I've used the other ones that Jet makes, and just had a real rough time getting it set up, and it was difficult to use, so I gave it away to somebody who will mess with it. Some doors for those shelves right there underneath the miter saw, and I have 6 more drawers to build on the other side underneath the granite slab that's on the top there. And but that'll be for another video. But here in this next week, I'm going to try to put together a couple small projects that have been on my mind, and take a little break from the miter saw station, but I will be getting back to it. I got some things I want to build, like
exploding outhouse for the bathroom, and I have some mailbox doors that a friend of mine would like me to build for him, a little nightstand piggy bank type thing. So with that, you guys, if you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe, and if you want to keep up with me here in Shop Dust, hit the bell and get notified anytime I come out with a new video. My videos are pretty far in between. I work a month on, a month off at my real job. I don't do this full time. Would appreciate your support, and with that, you guys keep working in the shop.